Hello students, again welcome to our online video tutorial class. So I think you have seen the previous videos, whatever I have made on the previous portion. Today I have decided that I will be starting from the portion that is transportation. Before transportation you have already covered about that respiratory portion entirely. So today let's see whatever the portions we have to study in the transportation or transport. First of all, when we will be starting this portion, first we have to know what is the definition of transportation or transport. Transportation means always that is a specific physiological mechanism by which various kinds of substances, as an example food substances, excretory materials, respiratory gases, hormones, enzymes, these all substances are reaching to each and every body part or body organ, obviously for their survival, for their growth, for their development. So transportation, without that obviously it's not possible to survive, because if the transportation is not there, if the body fluid is not there which is carrying those all substances, obviously each and every body organ and body tissue, they will not be getting any kind of nourishment. They can't release any kind of waste matter after respiration, as well as no such kind of gaseous exchange also can't happen, as well as hormonal secretions which are actually happening from various kinds of endocrine glands, those hormones can't go to their target organ. So always keep it in your mind, this transportation process is a very important process, very important physiological process based on which whatever we are taking from outside as a food, those are getting distributed to each and every body part, body organ, they are getting nourishment. After respiration, whatever the excretory materials they are producing, those are actually coming to our kidney through the circulatory system, and from the kidney those waste materials are moving outside. So I have actually talked about the transportation in animal. In case of plant also, if you consider, when the plants are absorbing water and minerals from the soil, those minerals and water are transported to the kitchen of the plant, that is the leaves or green parts of the plant. That is also happening due to presence of this system, that is transportation system. As well as when plants are producing the food, those foods are also getting transported to various parts of different regions of plant body. That is also happening due to the transportation mechanism. So overall, if you consider plant, if you consider animal, in everybody transportation is the one and only procedure through which everything is getting distributed throughout the body, and for that reason overall growth, development, everything is happening. Okay, so now I am just going for the significance. Whatever I have told in the introduction, within that the significance I have totally told. Again I am repeating, the body fluid which is present in our body, or in case of plant body, specifically in plant body there is no specific body fluid, water is actually performing that function. But whatever the type of body fluid present or absent, mainly the significance of the transportation is first one, that is in case of plant, water, minerals, those things will be getting transported, as well as foods will be getting transported due to presence of this transport mechanism. If you consider animal, due to presence of blood or due to presence of any other kind of the body fluid, whatever the food we are taking, after digestion and after absorption, those specific type of nutrients or nourishment will be get distributed to each and every body organ. First point. Second point, each and every cell, each and every organ is making various kinds of excretory products, specifically nitrogenous products. So those products will be returned back to the kidney due to presence of this specific system again. Third, various kinds of enzymes which are always loitering in this transporting fluid or in this body fluids, and those enzymes are actually reaching to their target tissue or target organ through this fluid only for their performance. As well as various kinds of hormones which are secreting from endocrine glands, those are also reaching to their respective target organs due to presence of these specific systems. Except that also various kinds of vitamins, minerals, whatever we are taking, those are also getting distributed throughout the entire body. Even for the respiration, whatever the oxygen is needed, that oxygen, after taking that oxygen will be reached to each and every body cell or body organ through this mechanism again. And after respiration, whatever the carbon dioxide is getting produced as a product, that carbon dioxide also returning to the lung through this process or through this specific system. So overall, due for the coordinating each and every body organ, for coordinating each and every tissue, rather for coordinating each and every system. This system is the most important system in any individual's body. Now let's see whatever the transportation in plants, whatever the different parts are present in the plants for transportation, and how the transportation mechanism is happening in them. First, when we will be starting with transport in the plants, first we have to know transporting tissue. Specifically in plants, we all know from the lower classes we have studied that mainly there are two types of tissues that are involved for the transportation. First one, that is xylem, and second one, that is phloem. We all know xylem are actually made up of four components, that is vessel element, trachea, then xylem parenchyma and xylem fiber. But out of these four components of xylem, only the first two components, that is trachea and trachea or vessel element, these two are responsible for the transportation. And which kind of materials are transported by this tissue? Specifically water and minerals are getting transported by this tissue. Next, if I go for the phloem, that is specifically or commonly known as food conducting tissue, and this tissue is made up of four components again, that is sieve tube, companion cell, phloem parenchyma, phloem fiber. And out of these four components, again the first two, that is sieve tube and companion cell, these two are actually taking part during the transportation mechanism. Remaining two, they are not for transportation, they are providing the structural rigidity or whatever the other functions. So first of all, we will be discussing about the transportation of the water and minerals. Let's see how the transportation of water and minerals are happening. Always keep it in your mind, the movement of the water and minerals always from the root to the green part of the plant, or rather specifically if you want to say, that is towards the leaf of the plant. So always the movement of the water and minerals, that is unidirectional from the root to the leaf. So whatever the structure involved, already I have told, for transporting water and minerals, xylem is there, and xylem is made up of two components, first one trachea and second one vessel element, or first one vessel element, second one trachea. First we will be discussing about the trachea. Trachea is such kind of elongated cell, okay, and both of the ends are actually tapered. And if you see the trachea structure carefully, you will see that on the surface of trachea so many small perforations are present. Those perforations are commonly known as pits. Here you can see the structure. It is actually a single cell or single trachea, which is almost, it is a spindle shaped almost structure. Both of the ends are tapered, and which is containing so many pits on their surface, and these pits are exclusively present for transporting water and mineral in between them. Now the point is, these tracheae, when they are joined with each other and forming a huge vessel or a long tubular structure, that tubular structure is commonly known as this vessel element. So here you can see in this vessel element there is a presence of cell wall, that is a thick, very thick cell wall, as well as this is actually the pits. These are actually pits, these are small perforations, whatever I have shown in this diagram. So those perforations are exclusively present for exchanging those water and minerals with the neighboring tissue or neighboring cells. Keep it in your mind, this is a tubular structure, so inside that tube there is no cytoplasm as well as there is no nucleus. So keep it in your mind, here this vessel element is exclusively a dead tissue or dead element. Clear? Because this specific tissue is only present in the plant body for transportation of the water or minerals. These specific cells present in the vessel element, those are not performing any other function. Photosynthesis or other kind of physiological activities are not performed by them. Only for the transportation of water and mineral they are present. Now trachea and vessel element, both structures I think is very much clear to everyone. Now we are going for the mechanism of the transportation, how the mechanism is happening. First of all, when we will be discussing about the mechanism of water and mineral transport, we have to keep it in our mind that there are two steps. Okay, first, transportation of the water from the root hair to xylem via root, and second step is that from the xylem to the kitchen of the plant, that is leaf. That is the second step of the transportation. So step by step we will be going. The first step we will be discussing first, that is the transport of the water through root from the root hair to the xylem. Let's see whatever the steps. Always keep it in your mind, when the transportation of water is happening through the root from the root hair to the xylem, through several cell layers or through several cells that water has to pass or minerals have to pass. Whatever the cell layers are present actually in the root, first of all there is a unicellular root hair which is actually present in the direct touch with the soil particles from where the water will be absorbed. Second, there is a specific cell layer, that is epidermal cell layer or epidermis. Actually root hair is actually the projection of the epidermal cell layer, nothing else. Next, there are 3 to 4 layers of cortex cells, then there are 1 layer of endodermis cells, and then there is a coming of pericycle, and at last there is a presence of xylem vessel. You can see this specific diagram at the lower portion here. I have drawn this. So please see, the first of all, these are the soil particles within which the unicellular root hair is present. So this unicellular root hair is taking water from these soil particles. Okay. First of all, after taking it that, it will be just transporting the water to the first cell layer, that is epidermal cell layer. And now already I have told you that this root hair is the one kind of process of epidermis. Process means is a projection for the epidermis. After epidermis, there is coming the cell layer, that is cortex. 3 cell layers I have shown here, 3 to 4 it is commonly found. So the water which has come in the epidermis, that will be going to the cortex region. Through the cortex cell layers it will be passing and moving to the next cell layer, that is endodermis. Okay. Keep it in your mind, the endodermis region there is a one strip-like structure is commonly present. Strip means there is a specific wall-like structure is present, that is commonly known as Casparian strip. Casparian strip, again I am repeating. So due to presence of that Casparian strip, the movement of the water and mineral is getting little bit hindrance when it is transporting through the endodermal cell layer. Now when the water and mineral is just crossing that Casparian strip, it will be getting the pericycle layer. Pericycle is a very thin layer. I have not shown it here because that is very minute. It's not need to show in the diagram. So after pericycle, it is directly entering within the tubular structure, that is xylem vessels. Whatever I have drawn in the upward also. This one. So after entering within the xylem, the water will be moving upward, anti-gravitational movement, and reaching to the leaf. That part I will be discussing how it is moving. But here, I think you have understood that how the water will be transported from the root hair up to the xylem. Here one point we have to keep it in our mind, that from the root hair to the xylem, when the water is moving, that water is taking two pathways. One is through the cell wall of each and every cell layer, as well as through the cytoplasm. There are two pathways are present of the water movement and mineral movement. First one, the water and mineral can move through the cell wall of each and every cell layer, and another way is that directly the water and mineral can move from one cell to another cell through the cytoplasm. And based on that, we have given the name apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway. If the water will be moving through the cell wall, then it will be commonly known as apoplastic pathway, and if it will be moving through the cytoplasm, then it will be commonly known as symplastic pathway. So this apoplast and symplast, these words are not necessary for your class. This we will be studying in the higher classes. But keep it in your mind, the water will be moving into two pathways. One is cell wall, another one is cytoplasm. Through cell wall and through cytoplasm. Next we are moving that the next point, that how the water will be transporting through xylem and how it is reaching to the leaf. For that reason, there are two forces or two specific activities are very much responsible. First one, transpiration pull, and second one, root pressure. What are those things? Think the water has entered from the endodermis to xylem vessel or the vessel element. After entering within the vessel element, the water has to move anti-gravity. So obviously there should be a gravitational pull who always try to pull the water column entirely towards downward, and another effort of the water column or the mineral, it will be showing against the gravity. So for that reason, obviously we can understand that from the leaf or from the upper portion of the plant, obviously there should be one kind of suction force or pulling force. For that reason only, this water column containing mineral can overcome the force of gravitation. So what is that? That is transpiration pull. During the daytime, all the stomatal apertures present in the leaf remain open. They are continuously releasing the excess water. So when they are continuously releasing the excess water, automatically, think carefully, there is a water scarcity is getting created in the surrounding cells of the stomata, that means surrounding cells of the gourd cells, subsidiary cells, other epidermal cells. So obviously a water scarcity is created. So for recovering that water scarcity or for reducing that water scarcity, what the plant is doing? Plant is absorbing more water from downward. So when the plant is absorbing more water from downward to replenish the scarcity which has been created in the leaf cell, automatically the water column will start moving towards the upward. So this is that suction force, that pulling force. That's why the water column is moving upward. So this specific movement of the water towards upward, that is happening for the transpiration only. If the transpiration process will get stopped, as an example, during the night time, the transpiration process, when it is getting stopped, automatically that upward movement of the water column, that is also getting stopped. So for that reason, transportation pool is here, is the main factor, main driving force of the water to move upward direction. And when the water is moving towards upward direction through this xylem vessel, that specific phenomenon is commonly known as ascent of sap. Ascent means the movement of the water column towards upward, that is in an ascending order. That's why ascent of sap. Sap means the fluid of the plant. Okay. So the water is moving towards upward due to the transpiration pool that we have understood. There is another one more factor is also responsible for this water movement. One force is attracting or pulling the water column towards upward. Another force is pushing the entire water column from downward. What is that force? That is root pressure. Just think carefully here, continuously water is getting absorbed through these layers of the root, and when the water is going or entering within the xylem vessel or vessel element, obviously, suppose whatever the quantity of water has been absorbed now, that will start or that will try to give more pressure to the previous water column which has already absorbed. Again I am repeating. Suppose water is continuously getting absorbed through the several layers of the root. When the water is entering within the xylem, whatever the function of that specific water column will be to push the previous water column which has already entered through the root. So when it will start pushing the previous water column towards upward, obviously it is a pushing force towards upward from downward. So that specific pushing force, whatever it is acting from downward to upward, that is commonly known as root pressure. So one is pushing the water column towards upward, another one is pulling the water column towards upward. And these two forces, when they are acting simultaneously, automatically the water column or the water is moving upward to the leaf. So this is the transportation mechanism of the water through xylem vessel to the leaf. That is transportation mechanism of water, or rather you can say the mechanism behind ascent of sap. I think this portion is very much clear to each and everyone. Now I am moving for the next part, that is, we have already discussed about transportation of water and mineral. Okay, now we have to know, suppose the food has been prepared in the green parts of the plant, that is leaves. After that, how the food will be transported to each and every way? Because always keep it in your mind, the movement of the water and mineral, always it is unidirectional. But the movement of the food from the leaf to each and every part, that is bidirectional or multidirectional. The food can come downward, the food can move upward, the food can move laterally. So multidirectional, rather we can say, there is a movement of food. So let's see whatever the mechanisms are present or whatever the structures are involved for this food transportation. First, we will be discussing about the food transportation here. Structure involved we have to discuss. First one, sieve tube and companion cell. We all know that first two elements of the phloem, they are responsible for transportation of the food. Let's see the structure. This is the overall structure of the sieve tube, and this is the companion cell, because it is just adhering the sieve tube, that's why it is commonly the name has been given companion cell. Now we can see in the sieve tube entirely cytoplasmic portion is present, but there is no nucleus. Okay, so we can consider the sieve tube of the phloem that is living, it's not dead like the vessel elements. So now when the food is transporting, obviously they are getting the hindrance in a specific interval. For what? For presence of the sieve plate. Sieve plate is a such kind of strainer-like structure which is present along the entire length of the sieve tube in a specific distance interval. And those sieve plate or the strainer-like structure is containing so many perforations through which the food can pass towards downward or towards upward or towards laterally, towards any direction. So when they will pass through those sieve plate, automatically we can understand unwanted substances will just get extracted. Only the required food substance can pass through the sieve plate pores or sieve pores. And here the companion cell, whatever you can see, that is only for giving the companion to the sieve tube. Whatever the exchange of various materials are happening in between sieve tube and this companion cell. Companion cell is containing nucleus and also cytoplasm is present. So this is the structure involved for the transportation of food. Now we will be discussing about the mechanism of food transportation. That is very easy. It's not so much hectic or problematic like the transportation of water through the xylem or through the root. What is happening? Suppose the food has been created or produced within the leaf. After production of the food within the leaf, think carefully, in other various parts of the plant body the concentration of the food is very low, but the concentration of the food within the leaves are very high. So for that reason, obviously from the higher concentration to the lower concentration, food will try to move, and when the food will start diffusing from the leaves to the phloem vessel, or rather you can say within the sieve tube, automatically that process we have given a name, that is phloem unloading. Phloem loading. Why loading? Because from the leaves the phloems are getting the food. That means they are actually taking the luggage on their shoulder. Luggage means the food luggage. They are taking on the shoulder. So automatically the phloems are getting loaded. So this is known as phloem loading. Now, when the phloem has transported the food throughout its entire way and reached to each and every body part except leaves. So after going there, what is happening? Again the food which is present within the sieve tube, it will start diffusing within each and every body tissue or body organ of the plant. And when it will start diffusing, automatically what is happening? That is unloading. Because phloem means just taking that luggage down or keeping that luggage down. Down means within the body tissue. So automatically this is commonly known as phloem unloading. So phloem loading is happening near about in leaf, from where from the leaf when the food is taken by the phloem, then it is known as phloem loading. And when the phloem is just giving the food to the body tissue, then it will be considered as phloem unloading, because food will be unloaded to the body tissue. So like that, phloem is continuously doing this way. But here we have to keep it in our mind that when the food is transporting through the phloem, sometimes the density of the food is getting very high. So for that reason, always keep it in your mind, xylem and phloem, these two vessels are present only in a parallel manner throughout the entire length of the stem. So when the phloem is coming, when the food is coming downward, and through the xylem, when the water or mineral is moving upward, sometimes what is happening, through the pits of the tracheids or through the pits of the xylem vessel, the waters and minerals are diffusing out and entering within the phloem vessels. And when those minerals and waters are entering within the phloem vessels and mixing with the food material which is moving down or rather moving up, automatically the fluidity of the food will be getting increased. Okay, the food will be get liquefied. So when the food will be get liquefied, automatically it will be very much easier to move the food through the phloem, because if the density of the food is more, obviously it will be taking more time. It is very much problematic to move through the inner wall of the phloem. But when the fluidity is increased due to addition of the water from the xylem vessel, automatically the food will be getting mobility, and it will move very well manner, fast manner, quick manner, and it will be reaching to its destination quite fast, okay, or quickly. So this is the mechanism of the transportation of the food through the phloem. So I think this entire part, whatever the transport definition, significance of transportation, transporting tissues for the water transportation and food transportation, as well as their mechanisms, with these 3 to 4 diagrams, I think these all things are very much clear to each and everyone. And I think you have understood this video in a very well manner, and you have enjoyed this video a lot. So thank you for today. Thank you.